It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielson, Matt Kassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gage.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Two Guys and a Goalie. Nielson, Gage, Cass, and Hernan. Salas, episode 200. Brought to you by our friends at CoolBet. We've basically been in podcast quarantine for like 130 of those episodes, but here we are, episode 200. Round of applause for all the boys. Well done, guys. Well done. 200 episodes. We'll celebrate with a little Two Guys super trivia a little bit later on. I was thinking about, over 200. The one thing I still laugh about was the debate we had over whether or not we technically saw Kevin Bacon's penis in Hollow Man. Like, that was probably the most ridiculous episode that we had.
Did we ever come to an agreement?
I don't know
resolution.
if we ever came to a conclusion on that.
No.
You know what? That's one of
good.
those agree to disagree moments,
Yeah.
I guess. Like,
Let's just agree to disagree on Kevin Bacon's penis here on the podcast. So, yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, Hernan.
My favorite story still is Gager's father-in-law at Pampas.
Oh,
Like that
a
was
good
in
one,
the
too.
early days.
that was classic.
And then another classic moment. Gager wasn't there, but Gazzola was in. It was our Halloween episode.
Oh, that was fun.
Gazzola and Kassian are having a serious conversation of Kessel, and Dusty just starts laughing. And he's like, I can't, because Gazzola was...
He was Monix.
Monix.
And he's sitting there in full Monix garb having like a serious conversation. And I was sitting next to him. Cass was dressed as a 3-hole punch. And I was sitting there and I was just like, oh my God. Like, how can we take ourselves seriously right now? Oh, shit. That was fun. So we'll have to do another Halloween episode, even just online like this. That was good. Anyway, boys, good 200 episodes, no doubt about it. And like I said, we'll have Two Guys Super Trivia a little bit later on. Thank you to everybody who has downloaded the podcast. We're well over like 100,000 downloads. So thank you to everybody for doing that. Thank you for watching the live stream, obviously, and a huge shout out to CoolBet for kind of keeping us going, which is awesome on their part as well. And we're still at a 4.9 rating, like 170 ratings on Apple Podcasts, and 4.9 out of 5. So people don't hate us, so that's nice at least.
My carpal tunnel's just getting better now from that.
creating all those fake accounts. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Get so many emails these days.
That is funny. All right, boys, let's dive right into it. We got to talk about it because it's going to tie into a lot of the Oilers stuff here anyway. So, Hernan, let's start with you, buddy. What do we got to talk about?
Evander Kane's debut Saturday. Good game by the Oilers. It went 7-2, and man, it's just they scored the first goal. They just rolling along nicely. But it was funny because who scores the first goal for the Oilers? Evander Kane on a tip, and then it was like, what else does this team need? Hits, and he goes out there in one shift, has like 2 solid hits like in 10 seconds. So overall, I mean, he said it himself. He felt like his legs were a little heavy as the game wore on, but he played just under 18 minutes, had 4 hits, had the goal. He looked all right with McDavid. I mean, you got to give him time to gel together and all that. But I think overall, you have to be pretty happy what you saw from Evander Kane. He's only going to get better in my eyes. And the one part I liked is that he finishes checks. And the Oilers don't do that often enough. And I think that's going to rub off on this team because he was out there and every time he had an opportunity to hit a Habs player, he did it. So just for me, a pretty good debut for Evander Kane and only going to get better. Just your thoughts on what you saw from the newest Oiler.
I loved Hernan, and we talked about it on the postgame show that he finished every hit. Like, I know that the stat sheet gives him 4, but he had way more than that. Like, and the difference between Evander Kane hitting a guy and a lot of other guys hitting guys is when he hits them, it sticks. Like, it's not like a little tap, like he drives his legs through. And there was one, and I can't remember who the defenseman was. There was one too where the guy's back was to him, so he couldn't run through him, but he still gives him a shot in the back with his hands, like just to bump him, just to let him know he's right there. Like every time he was doing that, and I loved that. And from an energy standpoint, you could tell that his legs weren't all the way there. He couldn't, I think, power through as much as he'd like in some instances, but that's going to come. Like he'll get that back, and I'm not worried about the chemistry with McDavid yet at this point. Like this is his first NHL game of the season, so playing with players this year at that high of a skill level, he hasn't done. Like he played in the AHL, he had success there, but he was the guy. So yeah, other thing I loved, one more thing, is he goes to the net. And that's where he gets the goal, but he goes to the net and he stops the net. And that'll, I think, be hugely beneficial. And I know, again, we've said it before, there's the potential, obviously, for off-ice issues with him. I still think he's going to be on his best behavior. And I think he just instantly, and I know we'll talk about this some more, he instantly provides just so much depth. Like, where do you get, unless you're Tampa, and you basically hide a guy in IR all the way to the playoffs and shimmy a $9 million a year player in over the cap, like where are you going to get an $8 million player for $2 million a year in cap hit without having to trade for him for the rest of the season? So it is a massive addition for them. And if he keeps himself straight in the dressing room, like as we saw with some of his play, and as Hernan said, he's just going to get better and he's going to make this team lethal on the ice.
Yeah, I really don't know if you can add any more to that, Cass. I liked the stopping in front. I liked the first shift of finishing a guy. And like you said, that kind of finishing almost is aiming through the guy to the other side of the plexi. And then, I think it was even a little bit contagious. You saw Cass run the goalie too. So,
oh yeah.
It seemed like even a little bit more physical team. It was nice to see them score the first. I think he was, and the swagger that he had. I don't know if you guys watched the beginning of the game, but they showed the going out for warm up, and everyone's wearing a helmet. He's not, and there's no one in the building, right? So it's just and he stayed out late and do it. So and he knows how good he is, and he's not afraid to show it. So. It's nice to see a guy with a little bit of swagger. If the NFL's playoffs have shown us anything over the past few weeks, having a bit of swagger going into games does help.
Two things on this for me. One, Cass, did you get a haircut just for episode 200? Because that's high and tight, buddy. I like it.
Yeah, I wanted to look clean and fresh. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
looks good. Follow up.
Thanks.
How Hernan mentioned, chemistry with Kane and McDavid. Cass, how long do you think it would take for those two guys to start feel natural playing with each other type of thing? Like how long until we might see some chemistry develop between the two?
Well, it could happen instantly. It could happen right away, but I'm going to say 2 weeks.
Okay.
It's going to take 2 weeks for Kane to get his legs back, to get up to NHL pace and to get his lungs back, I think. So I'm going to say 2 weeks. If in 2 weeks you don't see much in terms of chemistry, then I'd try switching things around. Or, you might try switching things around anyways and letting him see if he's got chemistry with Draisaitl and if there's like an instant spark there. But I give it 2 weeks of solid playing together and having Kane in the lineup and on the ice.
I think it's going to take some time. Mostly, I think because McDavid's never really played with a guy like this.
True.
Hyman has the physical thing, but his kind of just from a pure like a goal scoring kind of way to look at things. Like Hyman, I think most are at 4 or 5 feet from the net, like crash and bang. Whereas Kane definitely has that in his game where he goes to the paint and putting like 2 or 3 foot pucks in. But just seeing some of his goal packets, like this guy can beat guys off the wing with a wrist shot too, right? So. Definitely a very dangerous player. And he can score from all over, which I don't think McDavid's actually played with a guy like him that can score from multiple different ways.
It's exciting to see how this top 9 looks. Go ahead, Hernan.
It's just funny though. On Saturday, 7 goals, right? And
nothing.
McDavid doesn't get a point, but that's depth. Like that's awesome.
Unless you bet on it on a bet builder, a cool bet, then it's not awesome, Hernan. It's not awesome at all. God.
What are the chances?
I heard. Yeah. That was nuts. Okay, let's stick with this then, because what I want to talk about is the Nuge, Hyman, Kassian line. generating 3 goals for this team. You know, Kane signs, allows them to move Nuge to the middle, put a couple of guys with him who can move and grind, and obviously Hyman can score for sure, and Kassian more than capable of tapping the odd one in as well. Is this something that you think could be a thing like the rest of the year? Nuge, maybe not locked in because you know Tippett likes to move things around, but Nuge in the middle with Hyman on his wing, and Kassian's probably not moving anywhere else unless it's like Yamamoto down or somebody. But is there staying power there, I guess, is my question for you guys. Because I think if you can have that line play the way it did, obviously against Montreal, but even just, you know, come out on the positive end of things most nights, it's going to make a huge bloody difference for this team. So do you guys see that being something that can stick?
I hope so. Just for the fact, after watching the Nashville game, their third line, I forget that kid's name. It's escaping me. I was trying to remember, but young kid, he hits like a truck, and that third line for Nashville is just heavy and nasty, and played at a real aggressive style. And I think that would be nice for the Oilers to have a line somewhat similar to that can play a little bit heavier and like Cass said, with those types of hits that not only just it's a bump, but it takes a little bit out of you and wears you down. So I mean, granted, like, yeah, they were playing the Canadians, but there was a little bit more aggression from that line, I felt.
Well, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Zach Hyman are both players that on a lot of teams in the league are playing in your top 6. And that to me just says it all right there.
Yeah, it's
They're
true.
top 6 players. So you got 2 top 6 players and a guy in Kassian who has the ability, depending on the setup of the line, to move into your top 6. So when I would say he is a top 6 player when he's playing at his best. Not that we've seen that consistently, but we know he can bring it. So to me, like Gager, you talk about Nashville, that could be the second line on Nashville. Yeah. It could be the second line on you know, maybe not your top tier NHL teams, but on your bottom tier NHL teams, that's a second line. So you now have 3 legitimate lines that can all score and produce and do it in, I would say, different ways as well. Although, you know, if you look at the makeup, you know, Kassian, let's say, plays a similar style to Kane in terms of, let's just say, physical style, but then you throw Hyman in the mix and you have 2 aggressive guys with a responsible Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Like the depth of that, again, adding Evander Kane and enabling them to move Ryan Nugent-Hopkins to center on that third line, it just gives you so much depth. And even I think of, you know, you have your top guys on the power play and they're going to play pretty much the entire power play. Who are you putting out next after that gives you so many options, or post penalty kill. Because oftentimes on a penalty kill, when it ends, you have a different line go out there that's not necessarily always the same, like set 3. But you just have a ton of options and a ton of depth there. So it's massive for this group. And with the top 2 lines, you don't need your third to go out and score a ton of goals, but they're going to be able to. And as you said, Dusty, if they're positive, if they're a plus line 5-on-5, that is massive for this group, because we haven't seen that for a while.
It's just like, I think we talked about this for a long time now, just being that big down the middle and splitting up Connor and Leon and then having Nuge, and that creates a lot of issues for teams to match up against them too, right? Like that's tough to come back. Oh, who do we put up against this, especially at home with a third line that, if they keep going that way, I mean, it's only been 1 game, but man, it creates issues for other teams for sure.
It's more like another line too, like 2B instead of, and we use the third line, but we all know what it is. And Dusty, like I heard Rashad on with you, and we talked about it on the lowdown too. Like the only way we can see like them going away from this, because so far success, I mean 7 goals against a banged up Montreal team, but is that if they want to give Draisaitl a left winger with, I don't know if the correct term is a little more skill, but maybe a little more finish than Fogle. That's the only way I think we can see that. But as long as they're getting the contributions from all the lines, like I don't see why Dave Tippett will make that move, right?
Yeah, I don't mind Fogle, Draisaitl, and Puljujärvi. Like that's a big line that can physically overwhelm teams in the offensive zone, and I think they've done that. And I know they haven't had like that. They combined for 7-point game, But I think that's something I want to see more of too. You want to see more time for that to click too. Cass, you like that big line?
I do, and I'm just nodding here because the thought just occurred to me is you now, where they definitely did not before, you now have a physical element to each of those top three lines.
Yep.
And they didn't have that. And we had talked about energy and how the team, when they were struggling, lacked it, and they didn't really have up and down anyone that was doing that. And now you have the capacity from each line to do it. And I like the size of that line. To me, if there's one or there's some moves that happen, it may be look at moving Fogle down to the third if need be, and you can slide Hyman up there to maybe get a little bit more of an offensive look on that left side on that second line. But I'm excited to see more of it, certainly. And if Puljujarvi can kind of get out of his little funk here, I think all of a sudden you got a shooter, you got a guy that's a passer and a shooter, and you have someone that's going to go retrieve pucks. So yeah, I like it. I want to see more of it.
Braden on the live stream, he's watching. And if you are watching, first of all, subscribe to the podcast. You don't miss it. But if you want to chime in, just type in the say something section. Gage, were you talking about Tanner Janot, or was it Yakov Trenin? Yeah. Because Trenin kind of big body that causes some issues too.
Yeah. Trenin,
both of those guys.
Both those guys just were beasts. Like they played hard. They were fun to watch. Really fun to watch.
Gage, what do we got to talk about today, buddy?
Oh, just the Oiler expectations, I think, because as we all went through December, it was a dark month. It was a very dark month, and then after just this little streak of the Oilers, it seems like the sun is rising and everyone's got a little bit more spring in their step towards their attitudes of what the Oilers can do this year. I think. Looking at the team now, and granted it's one game, but it just the solidifying the top nine. What type of moves do you think the Oilers would make if they say, you know what, we're going all in this year? To me, I don't think this is the year to do something like that. But I wanted to ask you guys, because I feel that as they are now, I think there's a good chance to do well in the playoffs. They have to make it first, and I think they will. But I'm really hesitant on getting rid of some assets to hopefully make them better, like a rental player at this point in time. I like looking at how Ken Holland had weathered the losing streak and not that quick knee-jerk reactions to changing something right away. I like the patience, but I don't think that getting rid of some good young players that I think will be phenomenal later on is the right move for something right now, just as the Oilers sit.
It's such a tricky topic because I get what you're saying, not Cass, Gager, where you don't want to give up assets, and if this team's like not going to be a legit Stanley Cup contender, but there's no guarantee this team's going to be in the playoffs. I mean, those players are nice, like a Bourgault, but he'll be ready in 2, 3, 4 years. And if you don't get that, if you're not a playoff team, and then the big boys' contracts are running out, like when he's ready to go, it's not going to matter much. So I don't even know where to go with this, because I appreciate Holland being patient, guys, because obviously this team's on a 4-game win streak now. Try to push it to 5 today. And I agree, like, you don't want to make those panic trades that Chiarelli did that 1 January when he brought in Manning and he brought in Spooner. But at the same time, I still don't think
don't bring up the Spooner trade around me, buddy.
I still don't think this team is I don't know if you have to go all in, but I still think this team needs upgrades, and I still think this team needs to make the playoffs and win a round. Like that's where I'm torn. Like I don't even know what to do, guys.
They need to win a round.
Yeah.
The difficult thing here for me is not that if they could go all in, I'd say go all in.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't have the cap space. So
yeah.
What are you going to do? Like I'm fine, and I am training a guy that's going to be ready in 3 or 4 years to say we want to win a cup in the next 2 years, but they don't have the cap space. So to me, you're inhibited from being able to do that. So, I mean, you're kind of all in now as it is. I guess.
Just
unless
not
you
in
can
an
find a
ideal
to-
way, right? Like there's some
right, not in
issues,
the,
but, yeah.
the perfect way, right? So, I mean, I'm not opposed to them doing something, but I don't think there's a cap space to be able to. But yeah, they got to win at least around maybe 2. I mean, really, it should be 2. That's kind of my expectations. I would see anything less this year with the cap space heading into the season that Holland had. Anything less than 2 rounds, I think, would be a disappointment.
Is if they can make one move, is it for everybody a goaltender?
Well,
or you guys
this is what I was gonna say. Like the only way I would do a all-in move, which would be a first-round pick or a prospect not named Dylan Holloway, because I'm not gonna move him, is if you're getting a legitimate freaking John Gibson type of goaltender. That's the only way. Like, I'm not moving a significant piece for a guy who might be better than Koskinen, might not. Like, it has to be, and that's why it's not going to happen, because you're not getting that guy right now. But that's what it would take. That's the only way I'd have you want to pick up a defenseman prior to the deadline for depth? Sure, maybe they will. But I'm not, the only thing that would be worth moving a significant piece would be for the goalie. And there's not a goalie out there that I think's available that fits that bill, which is why, I just don't view it as a push them all in, because you're not getting what you need back, right?
Would you do all that just for a rental goalie, guys, for this year?
It depends on the price.
Yeah.
It depends on the price, because if it's a rental for a goalie, like, do you want to give up one of your young guys?
Basically,
and
it's Marc-Andre Fleury.
Holloway.
Right? Is that?
Yeah.
You're not giving up Holloway or Broberg for Marc-Andre Fleury. Like, you can't do that, right? Like,
no.
So, I don't know. I just don't think there's a path to filling that void, right? Like, which kind of sucks, because you made your bed with these guys, right?
Yeah. I mean, I will probably talk about it in future episodes, but what does that look like next year? Is that the number one priority for after this season, regardless of how the Oilers do? Is like, if they win the cup, do they just start Skinner and start from there, or or if they lose, are they looking for Fleury? Right? Like, I don't.
We've been asking about it for 3 years, right? Like, that's scary.
Because is Mike Smith? He's backing up.
He's got a year left.
He's
got a year left.
And he's got a year left. Like,
yeah, he's got next year, right?
I mean,
is he backing up?
I don't know if he's backing up or not.
Oh, he had that full practice yesterday.
Yeah,
I didn't know. I just kind of looked at Koskinen and Starry, and I didn't even look at who was backing up tonight. If you're watching the live stream, you can chime in. But I didn't even look that up. All right, Cass, what do we got to talk about, buddy?
I wanted to talk about the NHL All-Star Game, and I am happy. I'm happy they're bringing back the breakaway challenge. To me, it's one of those areas especially for kids and young people watching. Guys can have fun with it. I think back to one of my favorite All-Star moments was like the Ovi, because he was kind of the first one to go and to just wear a dumb hat and add a little personality to it. And I'm excited to see that. So I was just going to ask you guys, what are you guys hoping out of the All-Star Game? What are you hoping the fans get out of that? Because I'm hoping we get to see just a little bit more personality, something that at times can be lacking in the NHL.
Just have that Trevor Zegras do some stuff.
Yes.
That kid, I don't know how he does some of those things with the puck. Like, he had one hand on his stick and he scooped it and then lacrossed it and then hit it. Like, yeah, I'm all for just more panache at the All-Star Game and really put the skills on display with some of these guys. That would be the biggest thing for me. But because I find that the NBA basketball, the All-Star Game is kind of the best, because they can still play at a pretty high level, and some of the things that they do, it's just absolutely phenomenal. And I'd like to. I'm not a huge fan of the breakaway challenge, just because I think a goalie's going to blow a groin at some point on there. But other than that, yeah, I just a lot more personality and things like that. I mean, I was going to even talk about just if an NHL player is is injured or out, they should have them in the booth like Alphonso Davies and doing commentary like that. Like that, what he's doing is awesome for the Canadian football team. But man, yeah, more personality for sure.
Yeah, like the fastest skater is always fun because it's Connor McDavid, and I don't know who can compete with him.
Well,
this
it's
year.
McDavid and
McKinnon,
Larkin
so.
this year, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like,
Larkin,
they're both
yeah,
there,
that'd be a good
so that's exciting.
I think he lost to.
He lost to Barzell.
Oh, yeah.
Matt Barzell beat him. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but the same as the guy said, just more personality. Same thing. I feel bad for the goalies in those breakaway challenges, but I like the skills more than the actual game. So I'll definitely be tuning in for that, and hopefully Trevor Zegras pulls some magic off here. That kid's got some cojones, man.
Oh.
So
Him in an All-Star game is going to be insane. They're in skills.
He must just goop on wax on that stick. It's going to be like half-inch thick.
yeah.
Did you see the two new things they're doing in Vegas this year? They're having the fountain face-off. 8 players will compete. They will take a boat to the center water of the fountains in front of the Bellagio, and they'll stand out in the water in front of the Bellagio and shoot pucks into 5 targets over the water and see who can do it in the best amount of time. And then they've got the other one set up where they've got all of those cards. They've got like playing cards set up, and the players have to shoot and get the closest to 21 without going over before breaking. So looks kind of cool. I like seeing a Vegas twist on this. I think that'll be fun to watch. The Bellagio, just from like a visual perspective, it's going to be pretty sweet to see. That's going to be pretty cool. So I like the fact
they should just like Pro Bowl it every year, and then just for the awards ceremonies have the All-Star game there too. And just have some sort of silly thing like this. That'd be great. An excuse to go to Vegas.
You could do something like that in Vegas. Yeah. 2 guys and a goalie live from the Bellagio fountains in Vegas. That'd be something else. All right, let's get to it, boys. We got 2 guys super trivia, 5 categories, 10 questions. Who won the last one? We haven't done it in a few weeks.
Not
Is it Hernan?
Gager.
I did.
Gager. Gager will have control of the board. And this should be a good one. I'm just going to tweet out that we're diving into trivia right now. All right, here we go. Your categories today, boys, are Evander Kane, Patrick Kane, All-Star Trivia, Dave Tippett, and 200th episode, Kevin Bacon. That's for you, Cass. So let's go, Gager. It's your board, man. Where are you going?
Winning today.
This is not my dream board whatsoever, but let's go with let's start out with some bacon.
Oh, I like that. All right, here we go. Kevin Bacon acted in which movie about the death of an American president? Cass.
JFK.
An episode 200 miracle.
That is a miracle.
What? I could not believe that just happened. Long
Not
movie,
because I
but
actually
good
knew
movie.
he was in it, but there's not very many American presidents that have been assassinated. So I was like, that's the most likely one.
Whatever.
Well played.
You're bored, Cass.
Let's go to Dave Tippett.
All right. How many NHL teams did Dave Tippett play for? Gager.
3.
Oh, I heard Cass first.
2.
Hernan.
1.
Buddy, worst answer ever. No. 4. He played for 4. The Whalers, Capitals, Penguins, and the Philadelphia Flyers. I forgot about the Penguins, but I remember him with the Flyers. I think I had hockey cards of him on the Flyers. But
See, I remember Washington and Hartford.
I only remembered him in Hartford.
And that was it. When you said 1, I was like, come on. All right, Cass, you're bored still.
All right, we'll go to All-Star.
Okay. Who is the first player to score 4 goals in an All-Star game? Gager.
It's got to be Gretz.
Yeah. When you went like this, I saw like you're just like, I'm answering Gretzky. I already marked it down for you. I was like, of course it's Gretzky. All right, your board, Gager.
Let's go to Patrick Kane.
Okay. How many times has Patrick Kane scored 50 goals in a season?
50.
Cass.
0.
Correct. Cass is on a
Yeah.
heater today. He's come close. He had 40
Thought so.
in the 40s a few times, but never 50. All right, Cass.
We'll take. We'll just keep moving up the board. So we'll take Evander Kane.
All righty, here we go. How many NHL cities has Evander Kane called home? Who was first there?
That would
boys?
be-
Sorry, that was Cass again.
I thought so, but
Okay, yep. Go ahead.
4.
What? Yeah, Hernan.
5.
Shoot.
5. Correct.
5.
Atlanta and Winnipeg.
That's where you got me. That's where you
Yeah,
got
I know.
me. Stupid Atlanta.
That's why I said
Those-
home cities, not teams, right?
I know.
Pesky
Okay.
Thrashers.
This is a good one, boys. We got Cass with 2, Gage with 1, Hernan with 1, and Hernan's board. Where are you going, buddy?
Tippett.
How many NHL teams has Dave Tippett been head coach of? Hernan.
Oh,
Correct. Hernan, we're going to need you to speak closer to your phone. Barely heard your. Oh, you got the mic on?
3. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
better there. That's good. All right, so 2-2 Gager. You might have the most wins ever, and you're slagging behind here, buddy. So, Hernan, your board.
I know.
Let's go with Evander Kane.
Evander Kane was drafted 4th overall in 2009. Which player who currently plays in Canada was drafted 1st overall? Five, 4, 3. Hernan.
As a guess, Tavares.
Correct. John Tavares.
Oh,
I
wow.
was at that draft, and right before they announced Tavares, there was like this buzz around the media area. They're like, they're going to take Hedman. They're going to take Hedman. And then they ended up taking Tavares, and Hedman went to Tampa and ended up working out okay. Hernan with the lead and the board. Where are you going, buddy?
Patrick Kane.
How many different major awards has Patrick Kane won?
Blah,
Gager.
3.
Cass.
2.
But
Hernan.
I think he's only won 1.
Calder, Conn Smythe, Art Ross,
Yeah, that's
Hart,
Calder.
Lindsay. He basically won all the
He
ones
won
that you
the-
could win.
Yeah.
He won the Hart. What year was that? Holy smoke!
He won them.
Yeah.
He won them all. Hart, Art Ross, Lindsay, 15-16. He had 106 points.
Sorry to Patrick
46
Kane.
goals.
I didn't know either.
All right, Hernan, still your board.
All-Star.
Which player hit Justin Bieber into the boards during a celebrity Gager?
That would be Chris Pronger.
Chris Pronger. Correct. Oh, man. So we got one Kevin Bacon question left. If Gage or Cass gets it, it goes to a tiebreaker against Hernan because Hernan's got 3. So, Hernan, you can win it.
Sorry, Dusty. What's the rules? Do we flip a coin to see what's? I don't know our overtime.
You want me to
rules
come
here
up with
on
a?
you guys.
I can come up with a Saku Koivu tiebreaker question.
Saku Koivu.
Yeah, actually, that's what we'll do. If it is tied, I've got a Saku Koivu tiebreaker question for you. Here we go. What color of tank top was Kevin Bacon wearing in his epic solo dance scene in Footloose? Cass.
White.
Oh my God. Cass ties it with 2 Kevin Bacon questions.
Oh man,
It was the old. We used to call those the beaters. It was a beater. I remember that.
the
Oh,
old beaters,
buddy.
yeah.
Episode 200, a Kevin Bacon miracle. All right. It comes down to this. Hernan versus Cass for the championship in episode 200. How many times in his career was Saku Koivu traded?
Traded. Oh man.
Hernan.
Oh. 1.
0.
That was 0.
He signed as a free agent with the Ducks.
Oh man, I thought he was straight.
All right. All right, just a second. I will ask another Saku Koivu question. Here we go. Saku Koivu led the Habs in scoring with 75 points in 81 games because he was really good in 06-07. Which future Oilers defenseman finished second on that team in scoring? Gager knows it.
Oh man, I think I have a guess, but I'm scared.
Do it. Don't say Mike Komisarek.
But I'm trying to remember. I can't remember.
Bonus clue, he was really sexy. Hernan.
Oh,
Sheldon Surrey.
Yes. God. How bad is it that you needed to hear me say he was really sexy for you to win that one? Oh, God. Cass, you were so close.
I was
so
right
close.
there. It was almost the Kevin Bacon miracle.
God.
I don't know what's worse. I knew how sexy he was, and so I knew it quicker. But whatever.
That was good, boys. Congratulations, Hernan. Episode 200. 2 Guys Super Trivia champion. That's going to do it for another episode. Hey, Ottawa Oilers tonight. Predictions. Let's go around the horn before we wrap up. What happens?
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about how
you
awesome
nailed
my
it
last prediction
time.
was.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm going to bet.
You go first.
I'm going to bet
Cass.
a cool bet. Whatever score Cass says tonight. $10.
4-1 Edmonton with an empty netter.
Oh, geez.
All right. I don't mind that, actually. That might work.
I'm gonna go 5-2 Edmonton.
Gager?
I'm gonna go 5-4 Edmonton.
Ooh.
like
Take
that.
the over tonight. Is what Gager is saying. All right, I'll bet on that too. I'll bet on all of it. It doesn't matter. Sign up for an account at CoolBet. Use the bonus code 2guys, the number 2, and the word guys. You get a 100% deposit bonus on your initial deposit up to $200. Boys, thanks for being here for 200 episodes. We will be back with episode 201 on Thursday. Have a great week, guys, and we'll talk to you then. All right.
See you, boys.
Bye, guys.